Hey everybody, welcome back to Miles and Mentors. Have you heard of TMS systems? Well, today we're going to be talking about one that's kind of taking the industry by storm. And we're talking to their CEO and understanding what brought him to the industry and picking his brain for that lived and learned knowledge that we can pass along to you. So stick with us. We have a great episode lined up for you right after this on Miles and Mentors.
Welcome to Miles and Mentors, the podcast that humanizes trucking, getting real-life advice and insights from logistics professionals from all over the industry. We sit down with those seasoned mentors who have put in the miles with a mission to pass on the knowledge gained from years in the industry to you. Now buckle up and enjoy the show.
Hey, Nick, how you doing? Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, not too bad, and thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we're stoked to jump in and kind of learn about your journey in the industry and talk about this amazing software that you guys got as well. But I'm curious if you could, just for those that may not be aware of who you are, if you could give us a quick high-level intro, just who you are and your role in the industry today.
Yeah, Nick Darman, founder and CEO of Alvys. And Alvys is an operating system for logistics companies, but we have a laser focus on carriers. I actually believe carriers is the most important node in supply chain, but they are the most overlooked by software companies, by technology. And if we solve a lot of the pain points for carriers, we're going to be able to help supply chain broadly.
I love that. So I'm curious, what is it that brought you to logistics in the first place?
So my roots go back all the way to 2004 when I was at Georgia State. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
But that's not my accent. My accent is from Moldova. I was born in Moldova. I was 15 when I immigrated to the United States. Later, from Philadelphia, the first city I lived in was Philadelphia. Then we immigrated, actually moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. And when I was at Georgia State, my dad was putting in long hours driving a truck. And I wanted to help him financially. And I told him, look, if you're able to figure out how to buy a truck, I'll start a trucking company and I'll be able to find loads and help you financially this way.
Love that.
So I was doing this while I was in college studying for economics. Did that for a few years. Shortly after my dad joined, there were a few other owner-operators that wanted to be dispatched by me. And so I was dispatching a few trucks while being in college. So that's basically what got me into trucking.
That's fantastic. And I mean, that's a really cool story. With that in mind, saying that you would open up that trucking company, did you have any kind of experience in that, or did you just jump in? And what kind of hurdles did you face diving in that way?
Well, I have family in the industry, and I already knew they have experience finding loads, and at the very least, I knew there are load boards, and that's basically how the entire industry is designed. Where if you want to start a trucking company, the first thing you do is you have to sign up with a load board. And I knew I needed to sign up with a load board, and I'll be able to to figure out what's the best load for my father to maximize dollar per mile. So that's it was more like a leap of faith. Didn't know much. I thought, if others are doing, I'll be able to do it as well, and that's basically what got me into trucking. And I actually did well, because if I'm not sure if you know how the industry was back then, but 2004 was a really, really good year for trucking. And it was easy. I was like, wow, that must be pretty easy to make money in trucking. Didn't even realize it was that easy. Of course, later on, 2007, 2008 hit. That's a different story. The market changed altogether, but I wasn't in the industry already. And the reason I wasn't in trucking anymore is because I wanted to be an investment banker. I wanted to work for a bank, and that's on Wall Street. And that was my dream. That's what I was studying for. And so I gave up trucking as soon as I graduated from Georgia State. And so I acquired a lot of experience doing a lot of accounting, working for JP Morgan. But it was at JP Morgan, after being there for a few years, I realized I'm an entrepreneur at heart.
Yeah.
And gathering the knowledge and the experience I had at JP Morgan, I knew I would do something differently this time around when I would start a trucking company. And so I went back in trucking around 2012 again. But this time around, I had different experience, different accounting background, and a good idea as to how the systems have to work with each other in order to be able to scale a company.
I always think those journeys are really fascinating. Hearing from you diving into your own trucking company and then branching off into the financial sector and then coming back, but having that entrepreneur spirit, I think that's the key, right? Because when you have that mind frame, you're able to harness all that amazing information that you've gathered along the way, and then have the, I guess, insight to really plug that in and make it work for you. What were some of the key insights that you gained by moving into that financial sector that has helped you in this leg of your journey?
So everyone that starts a trucking company, for the most part, they are eager to get more freight, better freight. They are focused on top line, revenue, maximize dollar per mile. But one of the most important underlying infrastructure that everyone is missing is building the accounting processes. And building accounting processes is actually a lot more complex than people think. And it's taking up a lot of your time, and especially in the beginning stages when you don't have a lot of employees. Doing accounting the right way from the get-go is time consuming. But I stubbornly believed that accounting, if you actually have the accounting properly set up, that's what's going to help your company later on. So
Yeah.
I focused on accounting. I wouldn't want to ignore the right processes. And that was at the expense of booking a load much faster, or researching for more freight, building relationships with other freight brokers or customers. I had to actually manually do all the books in the beginning, because I believed accounting is number one thing. That's the infrastructure. That's the backbone of the company.
Yeah.
If I ignore that, if I don't set this up properly, then I'm not going to be able to scale the company in the future. So that's one learning lesson I have learned from JP Morgan that I adopted in trucking space.
I love that. I think that's fantastic insight, especially in the logistics industry, because we see so many enter this space and so many fail and leave this space. And I think that probably leans to one of the key reasons there is this industry can bring a lot of money. But if you don't manage and project for that bottom line and the health of your company, it costs a lot of money as well. So if you're not accounting for that, it's really easy to get turned upside down.
Oh yeah, especially when and again, nothing wrong with going after the business, but
Right.
many people have this misconception that they have to run their company on cash basis accounting workflows, and that's wrong, because cash is sometimes deceiving in our industry. What you really need to know is how your P&L is doing versus how your cash flow is very important. But many times when you have a lot of cash in our industry, that means your P&L is not doing well. That's in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
And when you're really struggling for cash, that means you're actually making money, right? Because you're paying out a lot of funds to your vendors, to your drivers, but you're still waiting for the money to come in. And that was how it was from the beginning. And mind you, I didn't go with factoring in the beginning. I was doing accrual-based accounting without the factoring, because I was counting all the pennies. I wanted to make sure that every penny I earn is later invested in the business to be able to scale it.
Most definitely. So from that point, I mean, we see you here today as CEO of Alvys, and I've watched, I haven't used the system myself, but I've watched a lot of videos and it looks really exciting, really promising. What is it that brought you from your previous legs of the industry into creating this system today?
So when I was running the trucking company for the second time around,
Yeah.
I switched to different platforms, and I couldn't find what I needed to be able to manage my workflows end to end. And that was a very important need I needed to solve, but it wasn't in the market. So I thought if I were to start, a tech company or a tech team, I would be able to deliver what I needed. And so again, out of my ignorance, thinking it's easy to build, I formed a tech team, and I was ready to deploy what I needed. And I thought I would do it much quicker than anyone else and much better than anyone else. And that's when I realized I was a fool. Apparently, it's not that easy to build. It doesn't matter how many engineers you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It requires a lot of structure.
Yeah.
You have to have a principled approach to engineering. You need to be able to own the product in the right way, where else everyone is going to build what they want, and you really need to control the way every code is written. Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of trouble later on, and you're only going to be solving the bad code others have written instead of actually deploying new features. So what made me build my own proprietary technology was simply the fact that nothing existed in the market that I needed.
Yeah.
Where I have fallen short back in the days was the fact that I thought it's much easier to build than in actuality. And so after building for a few years, I still had a much better platform than what was in the market, but I wasn't satisfied. That's not the reason I dumped millions of dollars to get what I call marginally better than what's in the market. And so I wanted to do something about it. Just because I wasn't able to reach that desired outcome, that doesn't mean the need disappeared.
Yeah.
And to me, it was obvious. I needed to partner up with someone who knows how to build industrial grade platforms. I needed to approach this tech side of the business very seriously. And one of the things that I needed to do is to really spin it off as a separate tech company and go big, scale the technology, or otherwise I'm just going to become just another platform. And as you know, there's hundreds of different platforms, and they just reach a certain level and they are not able to get that breakthrough technology, because it's very complicated to build the right platform, especially when you have a lot of moving parts that you're dealing with all the time in logistics space. So in 2020, I spun off the technology side of the business into Alvys. And I know a lot of people are always asking me, why do you pronounce it Alvys and not Alvys? Because it's spelled with an Y. And I always say, well, I want to sound like Elvis. Many times I just love what Elvis did to rock and roll, and that's exactly what Alvys is doing to TMS space. That's the analogy I make. So I spun off the technology side of the business from my logistics company into Alvys, partner up with my current co-founder and CTO, Leo, who has a lot of experience building industrial grade platforms. And from there, we embarked on this journey to solve the pain points that trucking space is experiencing.
That's fantastic. I'm honestly inspired by the way you think and your entrepreneurial spirit here. As you referred to it as I can't remember how you phrased it now, like your ignorance in going into this. I don't know many other people that would have that same thought process to be able to navigate those hurdles and challenges and not just give up, even to the point where you're like, I need to find basically some help here to really get this where it needs to go. That is a huge pain point that so many companies go after, because finding the wrong people is more devastating than anything. But having that insight and just that experience to implement there and make sure that you find the right partners to really help you excel here, I think is fascinating. So it's funny you call it ignorance. I see all of this and it inspires me. I think you're doing some amazing stuff here.
I appreciate it. My wife doesn't think so. She thinks I have self-inflicted a lot of problems upon myself, but that's a different story.
Well, that's how we learn, right? We
Yeah.
learn along the way. So compared to other TMS systems in the market, for somebody getting in the industry today, becoming an owner operator, growing that fleet that hasn't really had that experience of other systems, how does this system compare and where does it excel compared to the others?
So one of the things I've discovered early on when I was running a trucking company, and by the way, I wasn't just a trucking company. I later became an asset-based freight brokerage, and then became just a pure freight brokerage. But long story short, when a trucking company is growing and they're acquiring multiple different shippers, one of the things they're going to do well, and especially when they do well with their shippers, shippers are going to start giving them more freight than they have capacity to cover the loads for. So at this point, if you don't have the right platform to manage your overflow freight, then you're not going to be able to broker it at a profitable margin. And so many trucking companies, they either choose to give the loads back, or they're taking a risk by trying to get into this brokerage space, and many times they get burned as they're either getting the wrong carrier on the load, and they then ruin their relationships with the shipper, or they're just not able to cover it for a profitable amount. And so long story short, every trucking company at one point in their journey, they always have to broker out some of the freight because of the overflow freight. And so what we've done in our system that's different from anyone else, we've developed this I call hybrid component, hybrid module.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, you're able to actually manage all of your freight, whether you're a broker or a carrier, into a one unified dashboard. But at the same time, you're able to keep separate P&Ls. And that is super important for you to understand how your business is doing.
Yeah.
What you have with other systems, and I'm not talking in negative light about other systems, but what you have with other systems, you either have to log in as a carrier or as a broker. So the right hand never talks to the left hand. What we've done that's different, we wanted to make sure that the same employee that's covering the loads with your own assets can actually cover the load with a brokered truck. And you don't so you don't incur more expense by hiring more employees to just run a brokerage company. You also don't need to pay extra for the platform to log in and out from one module to another module. And you also see all of your shipments in a unified dashboard. So what it means, when you broker out a load to an outside carrier, and all of a sudden the carrier is not showing up, or falls short for whatever reason, that carrier is not able to do the load, you're able to take that carrier off, and it becomes, or it goes back into an open status in your dashboard. And at this time, you can make an executive decision to deadhead one of your trucks. And now you're putting this same load that was just on a broker truck. You're able to put it on your assets. And it's that easy, right? And at the same time, the P&L is always keeping track. So that's a very important distinction in our platform, to have this hybrid architecture. And with this hybrid architecture, we're able to help carriers scale faster. For example, If a shipper is giving you 10% more freight and you have a robust system that's able to help you broker out efficiently, all of a sudden you're making a lot more money, even though you didn't buy more trucks. That's one example, and I could go on in many different examples, but that's one part of the system that was very well done.
I love that. And I mean, yeah, from what I've seen of the system, it looks very promising for somebody trying to really optimize how their business is running. Tools like these, I think, are honestly vital. Now, we've seen since since the launch of Alvys in 2020, I mean, there's been some rapid adoption. Especially noting since early 2023, it looks like you guys have grown like 10 times. What do you see as the key factor for this growth, especially in the recent couple of years?
So I always say that in order to create standalone products
Mhm.
where they operate on their own, they're very easy to create. But it becomes very complex to combine them all where they're all intertwined and create an end-to-end solution.
Yeah.
And so in our case, there's no such thing as one particular feature that stands out. You have to have, from sourcing to fulfillment to management, right? Sourcing, where you source for more business, or you source for truck capacity; fulfillment, where you track and trace, you manage all the exceptions in the life cycle of a load; and in management, you do accounting, maintenance, invoicing customers, paying drivers or carriers. And so all of those departments have to be intertwined. They have to be seamlessly integrated. And that's what's complex. And if you're able to do that, that's exactly what's helping us grow. And we were able to do it. And so our growth is thanks to the fact that we were able to take 50 different features or modules and put them together in such a way where it becomes a holistic experience. That's the best way for me to describe. But then if I double down on specific exciting features, one of the features that we have is the marketplace. I call it the marketplace.
Okay.
What it means, and there's different freight brokers that are ingesting freight into our platform, coupled with freight brokers that are using our system. And therefore, we're able to match properly with the empty trucks, or trucks that are about to get empty, but they still don't have a load. And due to the fact that our system is able to recognize and see different freight from different sources, we're able to match that empty truck or the future empty truck with the right shipment. And that's really helping every dispatcher across the board, where they don't have to call 1,000 different numbers to get one load. The system is actually funneling in such a way where it's helping them. I mean, they're almost like a pilot. They're just navigating that plane, right? That's what we've done. That's really exciting. And this marketplace is starting to take good traction for us.
I think aspects like that just are amazing. I mean, technology in general has just skyrocketed in the last, decade or so. And I think it's really amazing to see it hitting the logistics industry so well. I mean, obviously, logistics industry is so complex, and our nation, our world depends on it so vastly. So, to have these systems that can help optimize and make sure that this vast system that we're running, nationwide, worldwide, is operating smoothly and lucratively, so that we can keep people in the business, I think is massively important. Now, thinking about some of the technology, I mean, as it continues to come to the industry and just, in general, a big thing we're hearing about recently is AI. Do you see AI coming to the logistics industry or TMS systems? And do you guys at Alvys have any plans for it in the future?
Yeah, we already have AI products, but this year, the year of 2025, is going to be one of those testing years, if you will.
Okay.
There's been a lot of hype, a lot of momentum about AI. I feel that the year 2025 will be, hey, show me the ROI.
Yeah,
Okay, enough with all the hype. It's cool that you have AI, but how does it actually help the end user?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
what we focus on in Alvys, we don't even talk about AI as much. about, listen, I need to understand the use case. I need to understand how can I make the user more satisfied and run through our platform or execute certain workflows much faster. So one of the key components in AI is parsing different data, inputting different information from a document into a platform, then reconciling the backend, the paperwork against the confirmation, so that you're able to either complete the load or put a load in a discrepancy in case a paperwork is missing. Instead of using human touch, we're able to do this via AI, right? Machine learning. Quoting as well. That's super important to be able to quote quickly, especially when you participate in the spot market. But again, the only systems out there that will be able to properly create, I guess, accurate AI results are those that have the records. So you have to be a system of record. If you're using implied data or inferred data, chances are high the model is not going to deliver accurate results. And so where we stand out to benefit from AI products is the fact that we are a system of record. We have all the data. We don't have to second guess what's happening. And so we're going to utilize this data in such a way where we're going to help the end user by a magnitude of many things. I believe, I actually believe, at one point AI will only work with system of records. That's my opinion. And again, that's my prediction. I could also be wrong. I feel that most of the AI products that are working today, they are not accurate because they're basically using inferred data.
Yeah.
And you need accurate data to be able to deliver the right product.
That's a massive point. And, separating it from this type of system, just the AI in general, like the language models and stuff, one thing we see a lot is kind of AI hallucinations, where it'll almost, if you ask it too much, it's like it gets lazy and just goes left field and makes it up. And then when you apply that back to an industry like this, it's like, that's kind of scary because that could make a massive difference, or, cripple a company on some decisions.
Oh yeah. And we've seen it. I don't want to go in certain details, but we've seen with a lot of bots when it comes to quoting certain lanes.
Yeah.
A lot of these bots, they're not accurate. In fact, I would argue my manual process and calculation is a lot more accurate than all the bots out there that are quoting shippers on spot market. So go figure what's really going on.
Well, and I think that comes back to your key point there is the hype was awesome. Let's get down to business. What's the ROI on it? Like, down to the point. I think that's huge. And I fully agree. The hype is amazing. The technology is really promising, but it also has a ways to go. And beyond that hype, great. Is it really, impacting your business and how? So I think that's fantastic to look into. What would you say over the next 5-10 years is the vision and kind of roadmap for Alvys?
So our grand vision is to help supply chain by first helping the trucking space.
Yeah.
And that's super important. We focus on the front line, and we want to really take care of the people that are on the front line, those that are bringing food to our tables, those that are struggling every day. And none of us, or a lot of us, don't have no idea what the truck driver is experiencing or what the carriers are experiencing every day. In fact, back in the days when I was in the business, I remember I would just wake up at 4 a.m. and come home at 11 p.m. And that would be for almost years, right? Because I always had to put out fires, and that speaks volume about the fact that we just didn't have, and we still don't have, the right processes and workflows to create efficiencies in our trucking space. So what we're doing passionately is to make sure the carrier is taken care of. And once the carrier is taken care of, then freight brokers, shippers, everyone else who wants to participate in our ecosystem. And as a result, everyone benefits in supply chain. And so that's the grand vision. The grand vision is to help supply chain overall. And the way we're doing it is by having the laser focus on the carrier.
Love that.
So that's and we're gonna live and breathe that vision, and we're gonna fight hard to make sure we deliver the product that we promised. Have we delivered it yet? I would say on many fronts, yes, but we still have a lot of fires to put out. This is a very complex system. The industry is very complex in general. And I'll just give you an example. We've built both systems, freight brokerage and trucking operating system. To my surprise, building a trucking operating system is a lot more complex than it is to build a freight brokerage module.
Okay.
And I could never understand, because in real life, it is more difficult to manage the freight brokerage processes. So I would think back then when I was starting, I would think it would probably be more difficult to build a freight brokerage module than it is to build a carrier operating system. When in reality, to build a trucking platform is a lot more complex than it is to build a freight brokerage. But it is easier to manage the trucking processes than it is the freight brokerage. So it's reverse,
Right.
And so we actually, and that makes sense why a lot of software companies have fallen short when it comes to building the right technology for trucking, because it is actually very, very complex.
Yeah.
And I have this vision. I believe we will be able to deliver what the trucking industry needs. And thanks to everyone that's at Alvys, we have this passion that we're going to solve this problem. Everyone is going to benefit in supply chain.
I love that. And, listening to you today, picking your brain here, I have no doubt in that at all. The way you think inspires me, and your goal-driven mindset, I think, is going to take you everywhere you want to get and more. But hearing you early on, I think even then you're going to look at it as ignorance and not quite there yet. And that's one of the things that inspires me about you, because you're never going to reach that goal, right? You'll get there in front of everyone else, but you're just going to see that next level. And I think that is one of the key points that is going to make you guys so much better than the rest of the industry out there. So I'm excited to see your guys' progress down the road. I think it's going to be really, really great.
Thank you.
Well, we have covered a ton here today. I've enjoyed picking your brain, and I feel like there's a ton more we could talk about. But anything you think we've missed? Any final words you'd like to leave the industry with?
Well, there's a lot I could say. One of the things I would like to share with the industry is one of the values that we have in our company is to be humble and to be a team player. And one of the mistakes that I made early on was I always wanted to work with everyone. I wanted to make sure that everyone succeeds. But if people don't have the right narrative or the right movie written in their head, and if they're not on the same page, no matter how much you invest, and no matter how much time you spend with them, nothing will happen out of it. And that same person could be great in a different company or in a different environment. My learnings from the past was every time I spent too much time with someone to help them grow, I'm actually ignoring my customer. and I'm ignoring the rest of the team. While I was thinking that I'm trying to help and I'm giving second chances to one particular individual, what I was doing is actually ignoring what the customer demands from me and what the rest of the team wants. And so one of the learnings that I learned was, look, no hard feelings. We're not on the same page. Your narrative is different than ours. Let's just part ways and don't spend too much time fixing someone or teaching someone, because sometimes it takes years for them to reach a certain level of narrative or to be on the same narrative. And so that's one of the things I guess I'm sharing right now from my experience is for all the entrepreneurs early on, when anyone is trying to tell you, hey, I need a process, I need something to be written, what I need to do, chances are high we don't have a process. There is no process. We just need to be on the same page. We need to have the same narrative so that everyone pulls together and delivers this complex phenomena, so to speak. So yeah, it's better to part ways early on so that you could actually take care of your current team and your customers and find someone else and to replace. That's my learning.
I think that's fantastic insight. I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to let us sit down and pick your brain. This has been fascinating, and I would love to get you back on in the future and kind of keep up with you guys as you continue and grow.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, actually, before I let you go, I need to give you a chance for some shameless plugs here. How can people learn more, find out about the company, and get a hold of you?
Yeah, you could always find me on LinkedIn, Nick Darman, or alvys.com, alvys.com, and you could learn a lot more things about Alvys.
Fantastic. Well, Nick, thank you again so much for coming on today and for all that you're doing for the industry. Some really amazing stuff happening here. For all of you out there watching, thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe out there. Have a wonderful day.